One thing I noticed, see how that moves back and forth a little bit? You really got to crank down these bolts and nuts really good to actually pinch it. That's one potential issue. See up that right there? Is what that kind of means is you're putting some stress on that aluminum. You're actually having to bend it in a little bit and it's cast, so I really don't like that. These arms are definitely not optimized for fitting with portals. I went and did some installation of the L&W Fab radius bars on the Talon and ran into some issues today. And it's a Sunday and they already responded to my email, which is great. However, still not happy for several reasons. So first of all, they use these inserts into their spherical bushing. That's not great because that's another piece of metal that can wear against another piece of metal and have slack and stuff. The Honda spherical insert is all one piece, right? There's no spacer or anything like that. So that's already not as good as factory. Okay, so that's not great. Honda uses a boot to keep mud and sand out of there. There is no boot to keep mud and sand out of the spherical joint. Also not good. Now, if you look closely, you'll see that that insert isn't even sitting flush with the thing. In fact, if you go down here, you can see that it wiggles up and down a little bit. See that? That's pretty annoying. The inserts bottom out against each other, right, like this, before they bottom out against the spherical ball. But then if you go and you realize the real problem, if you stack both these up on top of each other and you compare it to the factory bushing, you'll see the factory bushing is a good bit taller, right? It's wider. This is what's designed to fit into the knuckle, right? This width. They didn't even match that properly, okay? This is 1.5 millimeters shorter than this. And let me show you what that resulted in. When you torque everything down, it cracked my knuckle because it's just really shitty. And so I contacted them and sent them a video about this and told them like, hey, you know, your product does not match up to the OEM joint, right? It just doesn't, right? That is a simple fact, right? These two things are not the same. This is definitely taller. You can see it right there. I mean, it's very obvious. They said, oh, that's normal. You want some play there. Okay, so I'll put a screenshot of that email. That's the most bullshit response I've ever got. Not, oh, sorry, you know, we just used some off-the-shelf spherical joints that were close but not exact and sold them to you as an exact replacement part. Not, oh, sorry, we broke your knuckle. Not, hey, do you want to return them? Or not, hey, we're going to fix that. Can we send you a new thing? Nope, they just tried to tell me it was normal. The only reason I even upgraded these was because I didn't trust the factory ones. However, in upgrading them, I destroyed something, so I really should have left it stock. So that's a waste of, you know, $340 on this and then however much that cost, and then my time to figure all this out. But they're trying to say that this right here is normal. See all the play right there? And that's after this thing's been torqued. It used to be worse than that, right? You want to listen to that while you're going down the trail? That is not normal. That is crap. All right, so this is what happens if you just kind of snug it. See how this moves back and forth a little bit? That's that 1.5 millimeters of play there. You can see it. And you really want that to be tight, right? Alrighty, so a couple days later, and all those parts are what hold that portal together, by the way. Pretty complicated. Portal's looking pretty good. There is some milky oil in that bolt hole, but I'm pretty sure that's from oil running out of the overfill behind it, so I don't think the portal's leaking. I'm gonna open it up, obviously, and check it. But it came up apart pretty good. This is a better press fit than the old one. You can see the press fit right there, snapped off with a hammer and punch from the back, pretty easy. Don't hit your rotor. Hit right here, you can see where I hit. It's a good spot to hit. Or use a 3-jaw puller. I don't want to mess up these threads at all, so I didn't do that. But there's the piece that failed, and the new piece, Super 8 TV did manage to get me the correct part. I ordered it on Monday, had it on Wednesday, so props to you guys for once. Good job. And now I got to put it all back together with the new piece and try to correct the issue with the wobble. And again, the real problem with this wobble is, the real problem with this lack of tight tolerances is if you have a gap between here and the ball, it's gonna let sand get into here. And if you have another gap between here and your bolt, it's gonna let sand get in between your bolt in there. And if you have sand and mud able to get in between things that should have a mechanical seal by being a press fit, you have accelerated wear and noises and squeaks and stuff. So highly do not recommend these arms, especially with portals. I'm gonna run them for now because they're on there and need a ride this weekend, and then I'm gonna promptly sell them and get a set of probably the CA. I'm not sure. I'm looking at a few of the arms, but definitely not going to buy any crap from these guys again, because not only did it cost me a ton of time, that piece of aluminum right there was $300 that broke because this is the wrong dimension. So you know, it's a learning experience, and it gives me an excuse to work on my talon, check out how the axles are doing and the portals and everything like that. But I don't really have time for this kind of shit. So do yourself a favor, don't buy the cheapest product out there, buy the best product and save yourself the time and money. At this point, it'd have been much cheaper to buy the CA arms in the first place. All right, rant over. But yeah, so I'm gonna throw this back together. It's a lot of fun. Make sure you grease everything. Super ATV hardware is kind of janky. There's the broken piece. Just to be abundantly clear, let me again re-illustrate the issue for you with the fitment of these arms. Look at the gap there. This was what this company told me was normal. I said, oh, you want it to be loose. That is unacceptable. I'm obviously going to shim it and do it properly because I'm me. So now instead of having a single piece bushing in here, I'm going to have a ball, 2 inserts, and a shim. Very premium. Not. I did a shim there, you can see it. Pretty nice thick shim. Now everything's tight, except it's not. And then I added a shim there, so I had to take 2 washers, grind them down to the right diameter, and then get the right bore in them. And now this piece is flush against the inserts. However, the inserts are not flush against the inside of the ball. So you can see that, you can hear it. There's still a little bit of wobble in there, as expected, because those things are a little loose. I ground them down some. I didn't want to go too much because you don't want them to bottom out on each other, but the tolerances are just really bad. So there's still a little bit of wobble there, and I'm not happy with that, but this will be good for a ride. The important thing is that these aluminum pieces are properly loaded now, meaning that it's a press fit on the center and they're actually squeezing it. You don't want this stuff loose. That's just so stupid. Them trying to tell me that really bothers me. It just shows how crappy of a company they are. And also, you told it to the exact wrong guy. Anyways, but if you notice, if you rock these arms, they still hit, even with that spacer. That's aluminum to aluminum, so that's going to wear there. That's pretty frustrating. They're just not great in a lot of different ways. But guys, so it's fixed. I'm going to take this time to give you an opinion on my portals. Everything looked good. My one complaint is that a lot of the hardware, the output shaft, the bolts are all really rusty. And this thing has not been any salt. And it's been parked in a garage. So it's kind of pathetic, you know, $4,000-ish upgrade, and you get some pretty shitty steel. The reason these things are strong is because they're overbuilt, right? Everything's thick, output shafts this big, etc. They're not using high quality materials. I think it's the same Chinese dirt steel you're getting everywhere else. Everything Super ATV tries to market as American made, but it comes in boxes that say made in China. So whatever. Corrected the issue on this side with the washers. As I said earlier, this is nice and tight, except for a little bit of wiggle in between the misalignment spacers, which is great. And then this side, I haven't got around to the washers yet, but I'll do them eventually. Has even more wiggle. And if you think that's no big deal, run it like that, it's fine. But if you know anything about cars, you should never have anything that's loose, because that's going to accelerate wear on this piece of aluminum in here where this bolt is, because now that bolt's going to want to rock around in there a little bit, right? And it's putting constant tension on this aluminum. And, you know, aluminum's not great at a side load like that, as we see over here. So not ideal. So eventually I'm going to put some shims in this side too, hopefully before this weekend's ride. Of course, it does hit the aluminum. Don't have a whole lot to say about these things that are good, except that they're kind of shiny. But other than that, I'll definitely not buy any more of them. Look at the amount of slop in that. See if you can actually see it. It's just crap. So, you know, you can kind of fix it by adding a shim, but that still didn't take out 100% of the slop, as you can hear. So, yeah, really disappointed in this product.